Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to follow up in the direction that Senator Warner was going. But first, a quick question. I hope there's unanimity about this. And that is with respect to this idea that some municipalities have floated that they will, under the justification that they give citing eminent domain, they are threatening to confiscate certain private label mortgages from investors. So putting aside what strikes me as an egregious affront to the Constitution, the rule of law, and private contracts, does everybody agree that to the extent that this were actually to take place, it would certainly discourage private capital from going into the residential mortgage market? Does everybody agree with that? And that has, of course, the consequence of making mortgages either less available or more expensive, or both.
I would actually go a little further and say, not just it will discourage, it is discouraging the mere threat.
The mere threat is already having that effect.
Absolutely.
Does anybody dissent from that?
I mean, I'm not sure I will dissent that the threat is having an effect, but I will say that, first of all, I think this is a local matter. And second, there have been numerous efforts for municipalities to be able to address the problem that they face. And until they have a way to address that problem, it's not surprising that a number of different avenues are being pursued.
Okay, thanks. Let me go on to the heart of this, another matter, which is I'm a little concerned that it sounds as though it is almost given as a certainty that there must be a government guarantee in this market. And I would remind everybody, for what it's worth, the House Banking Committee has passed out of committee a GSE reform bill that has no government guarantee. So this is not terribly unusual. I would also point out we have huge segments of our capital markets that have never had a government guarantee. Nobody contemplates a government guarantee, I trust, for commercial paper markets and corporate bond markets and other sorts of markets where the private sector provides massive liquidity on a routine basis. I also want to stress there are very substantial risks, I think, that attend to a government guarantee. The obvious is it puts taxpayers at risk, and I think we should not overlook that risk that taxpayers bear. I think it tends to divert capital that would otherwise go to other places, but if the government is weighing in with a capital, with a guarantee, it creates incentives to send money in certain places. Probably encourages excessive risk-taking. And the last and the biggest risk, I think we've heard allusions to it around this table today, which is the inevitable politicization of the process. If you have a government guarantee, it is necessarily a political process to define the terms under which one has access to that guarantee. And in the process of setting those rules, what we hear, and in fact the senator from New Jersey brought it up as his very next question, the concern that maybe not enough people will have that access. All the politics always drives towards ever expanding the universe of people who will have access to this. And I do believe that this political mandate to expand mortgage lending to people, including some who were not able to pay back those mortgages, was absolutely at the heart of the financial crisis that we just went through. And it seems to me maintaining a government guarantee continues that risk. And it can be lessened somewhat. I'm sure there are ways to do that. But I don't see how it ever goes away. Now, it seems to me the arguments I hear in justification for the government guarantee usually seem to be variations on three arguments. One, we need it to maintain a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Number two, it helps keep mortgage rates lower than they would otherwise be. And number three, it's the assurance that we will always have a liquid market, even in the worst of circumstances that might otherwise dry up the private capital. I think we should spend some time really evaluating these presumed advantages. I don't think we've challenged them as thoroughly as we might. It's a quick question. Mr. Zandi, I think you were asked a question in a House hearing, a banking hearing, I assume, about whether or not you thought there would be a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage product in the absence of a government guarantee. And if my information is correct, the answer was that we probably would have such. And we do, after all, have private label securities including 30-year fixed-rate private label mortgages that have no government guarantee. So the product does exist in the absence of a government guarantee. Isn't that true?
It does, just at it would be marginal product compared to where it is today. So Europe, the rest of the world would be a good case study for what the 30-year fixed rate would look like without a government guarantee. And if you look at those markets, the share of the markets that has a 30-year fixed rate, fully prepayable mortgage is small, 10, 15% of the market.
But there could be other differences that might explain part
Could,
of that
yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
And so it's not clear that that's the whole
Absolutely.
thing. And we have had private label mortgages and jumbo mortgages that are 30-year and they're fixed and they have no government guarantee.
Yeah, but I think it's a prudent planner would expect, without any government guarantee, take the House Financial Services Bill, the PATH bill, if that were law taken as is, that the share of the mortgage market that would be a 30-year fixed rate, fully prepayable mortgage would be much, much smaller than it is today.
Or it might be maintained but at a higher rate.
Well, it would be at a higher rate, so then it would be unaffordable, and therefore the share would be lower.
Well, and it's an open question as to how much of the difference in rate gets capitalized in land values.
Absolutely.
And
By the way, all your concerns, I sympathize with. Those are very legitimate concerns and need to be explored. I totally agree with that, that you're absolutely right. Those are things we need to worry about. And that's why a high rate of capitalization in a hybrid system is critical, because it addresses some of those concerns. It doesn't mitigate them, but it addresses them.
I see I've run out of time, but I do hope we'll drill down a little bit more, excuse me, on some of these issues. And Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the indulgence.
Senator